You may be wondering why we're sitting on the floor, and I'll tell you, it's because of this. We are sticking as close as possible to the warm heat. Even Rodeo is taking a nap in between us. We arrived in Central California a few weeks ago, and about that time, the heating element in our fireplace decided to go out on us. Man, it's true. You don't realize how much you miss something until it's gone. It has been in the low to mid 30s every morning, and it is cold.
Yeah. Now luckily for us, our new fireplace came in a couple days ago, so we figured this would be a great opportunity to show you how to take out the old fireplace, replace it with a new fireplace. We also want to show you a couple little tips or tricks, I guess, while your fireplace is out. So stay with us and we'll get into this video.
Before we get into the video, a lot of you have written in asking questions about Rodeo's eye. We just took her to the vet, and we'd like to let you know that Rodeo's eye is completely healed. Yay! Thank God. Thank you so much for your questions, your concerns, and your well wishes. We all, including Rodeo, appreciate it. Also, if you haven't done so yet, please subscribe to our channel. Please hit the like button and please ring the red bell. Leave any questions or comments or anything you'd like to say below, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. We love to hear from you guys. Now, I'm going to get back behind the camera and leave this guy all for you guys alone.
Aren't they lucky?
Very.
Ready, disappear. Hopefully you had a chance to watch the video we did a couple of weeks ago on 6 months of RVing. In that video we explained that our fireplace went out on us, at least the heating element did. We worked with Grand Design. They sent us a new fireplace. It came in yesterday, so we figured this would be a great opportunity to show you how to replace a fireplace. Sometimes simple little projects like this are very intimidating if you don't know where to start or how to start or even what you're going to get yourself into. So we figured this would be a great way to show you really how simple this is, and hopefully it can save you from having to take your RV to a dealership to do something as simple as this. With that said, let's go ahead and get started. The only tool we're going to need for this is a number 2 Phillips screwdriver. The fireplace, now this fireplace in particular, the model number, I got to read this off. It's a RV 36, means it's a 36-inch wide fireplace. D as in Delta, 80F as in Frank, dash C1. So it's RV 36D 80F-C1. That's what we're going to be dealing with today. Now this kind of comes in 2 pieces. There's a glass piece up front, and then there's the main unit in the back. This glass piece is only held on by these 2 screws here and here. These are Phillips screws. What we're going to do is we're going to unscrew these. I'll show you the back of the glass, how to take this off correctly. So let's go ahead and we'll do that right now. Now I pulled out the 2 screws that was holding the glass in, so there's really nothing holding it against the wall right now. The only thing holding this up right now is there's kind of like 2 hooks on the back of the glass. So the way we want to take this off is to lift it up and then out. So it's up and straight out. And hopefully you can see in the back, we have these little slots here, and they're actually going in to these slots here. There's one up here, one down here, same thing on the other side. And if you can see, let's see if you can see here, they just kind of hang right there. You can see that they just kind of, there's a slot that they go into. So we'll put the glass away. Now here we have our main fireplace. It's held in by these 2 screws on this side, these 2 screws on this side. You do not have to touch these screws down here, so don't worry about those. All we have to do is remove 4 screws. So we'll go ahead and do that. Now I should say while we're taking these screws out, if you haven't had a chance to subscribe to our channel, we'd really appreciate it if you would. If you have any comments, please leave comments below. And if you had any problems with your fireplace, let us know. I'd be curious to see if anybody else had to go through this as well. And we got 2 more screws. Now once I get these 4 screws out, the fireplace is not going to fall. You don't have to worry about that. They actually, when they cut the hole out for these fireplaces, they're in here pretty snug. So literally right now it's just staying in here by itself. There's nothing holding it in place. Now the only little thing you have to be aware of before you pull your fireplace out, on this particular fireplace, the cord, the power cord, is on this side. And it actually kind of goes behind the wall. So when we pull this out, we gotta pull it out on a slight angle to get this side out first, then the side with the power cord. And you may have to wiggle and jerk it around a little bit. I know ours anyways is pretty snug. So let's see if we can go ahead and get this out real quick. Okay, as you can see, it's as simple as that. This thing probably weighs maybe 10 pounds. It's not very heavy at all. Now, if you're lucky, I'll show you a couple things. Sometimes with these fireplaces, and like again in our particular case, our heating element went out. I know it's a bad element, but are times where these vents could be clogged up. Once you pull this fireplace out, if you see that you have really clogged vents, it might be worth giving it a try to clean your vents out and then see if it works again. I know that's reading through forums or listening to some other people, I know they've had that problem before. So, and actually Grand Design, that was one of the things they wanted us to check right off the bat, make sure these vents are clean. And it might not even hurt once a year or so just to pull this out and clean your vents off to save yourself the hassle of it not working sometime. Now, the other thing I wanted to show you, this is the cord. All this is just plugged into a 120 receptacle. So you have a couple options. If you feel comfortable enough, you can just unplug this. If you don't like dealing with electricity at all, there's a breaker in our breaker panel or a fuse panel just for the fireplace. We actually turned ours off just to be on the safe side. I would suggest doing that yourself if you don't feel comfortable. So all we have to do at this point, we're just going to unplug this. Now our old fireplace is completely done. We're done with it. I do have to do a few things for Grand Design. Again, they sent us a new fireplace. I do have to take a picture of our old fireplace, the serial number and the model number, and I have to cut this cord. Again, I get it. They just want to make sure we're not trying to get a free fireplace out of them. I have to kind of prove this one's not very good. So here's a little extra bonus for you as well. While we have this back off, we might as well take this opportunity to learn something new about our RV. So come on and let me show you what we have going on back here. Whenever we do a project like this, we always like to try to learn something the best that we can, learn something new about our RV. So now that we have our fireplace pulled out, it gives us access to this panel and whatever's behind this panel. So now that I have the fireplace out, I can look back here. I do see I have a 120 receptacle. It may not seem like a big deal, but now I know, let's say one day my fireplace won't start in, or I'm sorry, won't power up. If I check my breaker and that's working, now I know I could probably come back here, get a voltmeter and see if I have power at this receptacle. And that's a good place to start troubleshooting. The other thing I've learned now is my TV antenna inputs and outputs. I can see this splitter, I can see I have an input, and I have 3 outputs. So it's possible one day, one of my TVs, I can't get a good signal. As an example, now I know I can take my fireplace out, come back here, check my outputs. Maybe it's possible one of these outputs came loose, Hopefully that's all it is. I could just tighten it back down, and hopefully that would fix my problem. So we're going to try to turn maybe a bad situation, you know, a do-it-yourself project type situation, into a learning experience, something else we can learn from our RV. This also gives us, I know you can't see it, but back in here, if we had any water leaks, we can check back here. We do have a bathroom right on the other side of this panel, so this would be very possible to have some leaks back here. I do have access now. I can see that we're dry. Everything looks decent, so I think we're at the point now where we can go ahead and put our new fireplace in place. Now that we have our new fireplace, this is really a very simple process. One thing to be aware of, this one actually came with a little protector for the pins for the receptacle. Don't forget to take these off. And we're just gonna undo this little wire tie, stretch this out, get all the kinks out of it. Don't forget to plug this in before you put your fireplace in. Okay, here's another little tip for you. What we're going to do is, I have this plugged in right now. We're going to go back to our breaker panel, turn the breakers on for the fireplace, make sure it works before we go through the whole process of putting this in, putting the glass in front of it. So that's what we're going to do now. We got it plugged in. We're going to turn our breakers on. Let's just test to make sure it works before we actually screw this in. Okay, we just came back from turning our breaker on. We're going to go ahead and check this out real quick, make sure it works. And we will turn the heat on as well. That's what our original problem was the heat. Oh, I feel it. It's been so cold here lately without this heater. This feels really good. So I might just leave it just like this. Okay, so we know everything works. We're gonna go ahead and turn this back off. Give it a second to cool down. Once the fan stops blowing, then we'll go ahead and put this back inside and install it and be done with it. Again, the only thing to be aware of when you start to put this fireplace back in place is the power cord. We have to put this in on a slight angle. We're going to end up putting our right side in first. I'm sure we're going to have to jiggle this around a little bit, and then we'll get the left side in. So let's see if we can get that going. Now that the fireplace is back in, all we have left to do is put our 4 screws in to hold this in. Once we do that, then we can hang the glass and we'll be done. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to put these 4 screws in finger tight. The reason for that is I want to put all 4 screws in first to make sure all my holes line up. I don't want to start putting a screw in and tighten it down all the way, only to realize I come back later for another screw and I can't get it to line up. So all 4 screws finger tight, get them all started. Now that they're all started, we can go ahead and tighten them all down. And these don't have to be super tight. We're just gonna kind of make them firm. This is wood in the back, so if you did it too tight, you have a chance of stripping these out. Okay, so these are all back in. The only thing we have left to do now is to hang our glass. And again, remember, we have these 4 tabs, 2 on each side. They kind of go in and set back down. So we're going to have to put the glass in and then kind of lower it in place. Same thing with these last 2 screws. We're going to get both of these screws started. finger tight. Just to make sure they both line up okay. As you can see, we got our glass put back in with our last 2 screws. Fireplace is on and it's working. I know this is a very simple do-it-yourself project, but I also know that some people are kind of intimidated. They've never done something like this before. They don't know how to take something apart. They're afraid they might pull it off the wall or break something. So hopefully this video gives you a little bit of confidence to do something like this by yourself. Again, in our situation, if I couldn't do this myself, we would have had to pack up our whole RV, take it to the dealership, and then they would have to do this for me. And living full-time on the road, that just really wasn't an option for us. The only thing we have left to do now is to cut the cord and take some pictures from our old fireplace to satisfy Grand Design what they wanted from us. Then we can sit back and finally enjoy some heat again from our fireplace. If you have any questions at all, please leave and we'll be more than happy to answer them. Hopefully this helps you a little bit, but remember, always live life to the fullest.